Ladies and gentlemen, theys and thems, weavers and listeners all, welcome to the first episode of Occupied with Stardust and Dragons, where we discuss the lore, character developments, the story thus far, and occasionally have the cast on to talk about themselves and their characters. So we're just it's a talk show. We're going to be discussing everything. The first thing that happens in the first episode is the introduction of the cast and their characters. So I'm going to just do that really quick. Brandon Hatcher is our host and our DM for the show. Christian Hatcher is playing Brendan Deinhart, a halfling artificer. Raina McGuire is playing Constant, a dwarven wizard. Dan Wood is playing Flip O'Donnell, a dwarven gunslinger. And Max Morin is playing Prince Lyrex, the Leonin Paladin. So, I mean, at the beginning of the episode, we meet Prince Lyrax of the Golden Mains in kind of a flashback dream sequence.
It's really intense, really quickly.
Yeah,
so
it really does. It takes off.
I was not expecting the death scenes. The death scenes to happen. I was like, ooh, interesting.
Yeah, this comes out a week after. We can't talk about what actually happened.
Oh, excellent. Okay.
Yes.
I knew that.
That's the point of this.
Too.
Welcome to the point of the episode.
And just so everybody knows, if you don't listen to our regular podcast, shameless plug.
Yes.
This is us. We are kind of like controlled chaos. It's a lot of fun, and we bag on each other constantly. Okay, never mind. It's not
just
that
chaos.
Just chaos.
Last time I checked, there's nothing controlled about what we do. But that death scene was like super intense.
Yeah,
I had to listen to it again. I was like, and that's a child dead, and then a guy dead. Everyone's burning alive.
Yeah. So this is the Day of Flame. It's all total destruction on Prince Lyrax's home planet, Achilles. And the death scene that Pup Nueve is talking about is there's a Commander Goliath, Commander Brickham, and he basically just says, your world leaders have aligned themselves with Aurora Industries. You're now rebels and enemies of the state, and just drives his sword into the father, killing him. And even his troops were like, hey, what?
Hey, that's kind of fucked up.
That was a nice little nuance when the troops kind of like held on, like, what is going on?
And that's when Brickham just says, we have our orders. These people are enemies of the state. Nothing here lives through the night. And that just bomb. my God.
And there it is.
It was insane.
You do get to meet Lyrix's mentor also, Animos Honormain.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just, I think it's going to come back to that. I don't think he died. I don't know, but I don't think so. I think it's that's gonna be a recurring character, hopefully throughout.
Yeah.
So,
and I really enjoy that they are using the Leonin race.
Mm-hmm.
So like the Leonin species as a playable species in this game. Like they play a big part because one of the main characters is a Leonin, and since they're usually only published in like the Magic the Gathering Wizards of the Coast, like they were only published in that Magic the Gathering setting. It was very surprising, and I liked it. I'm like, X.
Yeah. And so shortly after this dream sequence, obviously Prince Lyrax wakes up, and he's in this dingy apartment. He's sweating from his night terror. Apparently this is an ongoing dream. He has this dream every single night since the day he left Achilles, and he's just a bartender.
Yep. And getting kicked out of his apartment, apparently.
Yeah, facing a bunch of eviction notices, and it was a funny joke that they talked about. He was like, so how many days do I have till the next to the actual eviction? And Brandon was just like, on the door there's a letter that just says imminent.
It gave me really big like Cyberpunk 2077 vibes, because when you start the game, that's how the game begins. Not with the dream sequence, but you wake up to a bunch of eviction notices and like this like dingy
that's funny.
with in a futuristic like setting.
Yeah,
is what it kind of felt like. So I was like, hey, related.
You know what I thought about was like a comparison to like the Firefly.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh,
but maybe that's also because like I recently watched it, but it drew me in. And the start of it all, really, honestly, I was cooking when I was listening to it, and I almost dropped everything. And I was like, "Whoa, this man's evil."
With that, I got to give it to him with that intro, with the dream sequence and all the action. It really does draw you in really good. Impressed with that. That was nice. I liked it. And then it just after, three.
What were you gonna say?
You said you had a question.
Oh no, I said I have a crush on that Goliath's voice. That's what I was gonna say. I was like, when I heard it, I was like, ooh, I like this voice. I like the way it sounds.
Fair enough.
But after you figure out Lyrex is the bartender, it quickly switches to the two short men and a rusty, beat up starship.
That is apparently that is apparently like an old woman's 70s Volkswagen with hippie stickers.
Yep.
That is so specific.
They kept trying to say like shag carpet.
Yeah.
They couldn't think of the word, and it hurt me deep in my soul. And you meet the two short men, Flip and Brendan, and they are, from the beginning, learn that Brendan's the artificer, Flip's the gunner of the ship, actually, gunslinger. And they are bounty hunters, and they are after what they said was the one that got away.
Yeah, Big Ben.
And the way I took it was it's the one that always gets away.
That's what it seems like. I mean, they're in an uncharted system, chasing Big Ben, and they get into a dogfight, and just start getting hit. And I mean, it was like 10 damage.
Yeah.
And just alarms blaring. It was very intense, and I love the sound effects that they kept using. And you can tell, Brendan, Christian's character, he describes him as really old, and it just I don't know, it gives me like almost a Han Solo kind of feel to it when he's like, when he's talking to the alarm system, he's like, I hear you, but we're gonna keep going.
Yeah, you definitely get it. He's the pilot, and that's his ship, and he knows what's going on, period. You definitely got the whole competent pilot vibe from it, even though they're flying a rust bucket.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is very what is it called? The Winnebago in Spaceballs. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of the whole thing.
That's what I was thinking of the whole time. The Winnebago from Spaceballs. I just thought that, and they're going, "Oh, this looks like this." I'm like, "No, it's the Winnebago from Spaceballs."
I would love it if they make a raspberry reference.
Bartholomew.
Yeah. So through the dogfight, obviously we said that he takes a bunch of damage, or the ship takes a bunch of damage. And
that was the thing. It wasn't Big Ben firing at them. It was a strange black ship that came out of nowhere.
Yeah. And
that, I think, is going to be a thing.
Yeah, I think. I mean, probably another bounty hunter, maybe, or I guess, at most an ally of Big Ben, but it wasn't really said, because the ship, the ship took on its damage and just started careening through space. They were forced to abandon the chase, and they hit the big red button that you're not supposed to hit until you need to hit the big red button. That was how it was described in the episode. And they jump into light speed, and they crash land on a planet called Dalmar, and then it kind of cuts through to Constant. Yeah.
You meet the two short ones, or the two short men, and they go pretty quickly. They go pretty quickly through theirs. I did enjoy the description of each of them.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. One's kind of the dapper, the other one's kind of the mess.
Yeah.
Very much Odd Couple vibes. Yeah. Trinkets. Okay with that. One of them's a really, really old halfling. The other one's a really, really old hill dwarf.
Yeah.
Yeah. They should have named them Oscar, and I can't remember the other one's name. But it does flip over to Constant. Okay. So they go to Aurora Labs on Dalmar.
And she's stealing.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, you don't stealing. She's taking what's hers.
That's true.
She's taking what she's already done. So.
Yeah.
The non-disclosure agreement aside, taking the technology.
This is mine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she's not comfortable with it either.
No.
At all. Like, I have to give Raina props. She really did play that uncomfortable, like, quit talking to me, because
right.
the one guy comes in and starts talking to her, and it's Otto McEwen or whatever his name was,
mm-hmm.
and she's just like not comfortable at all.
No.
And you could feel it. It was the most awkward conversation, and I absolutely loved it.
I did too.
So awkward.
Yeah. They do some great role play in this.
Yes,
they really do. They really showcase their characters' personalities very well, and I really like it. And I'm like, I can relate.
Yeah,
I know this one.
Right.
I know this one.
So Constant does take the proprietary, I think it was like a thumb drive or something, and pockets that and escapes from the lab, and then
did you like the book that blips in and out of existence as she's stuffing notes into it? I really thought that was such a small like mention. I was like, I love that.
Yeah, they just pass
That's
over
awesome.
it really quick, but I want to stat that item.
Yes,
and just
for sure,
just for fun.
But she has to go through a whole like unfamiliar part of the labs and has to talk to somebody she doesn't even know, and
in an unauthorized personnel area that she's not allowed to be in.
Seeing experiments which they didn't go into, which I'm very curious what kind of experiments they were doing.
Yeah,
I am too.
Well, and especially since like that's kind of a callback to the flashback in Lyrex's dream. Is this Goliath was saying that they aligned themselves with Aurora Industries, and she's in an Aurora lab. So like, why is that such a bad thing? What are these experiments?
Exactly.
And it focused on, she said she was leaving all of her friends behind and taking only her research. She made a point to say she took only her research.
Yeah.
So in her mind, she's not stealing.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what I'm saying. She's taking what's hers.
Yeah, there you go.
And she ends up at the bodega, which I love the bodega.
With my favorite character in the whole, like, I listened to that one part with the cobalt.
Well,
oh my.
The next part was actually went back to the Two Short Men shipwrecked.
True.
And timeline the way it worked, and it was about some of the bad things that happened to the ship, trying to fix it.
Yeah, there was the shield was going bad. It wasn't recharging the way it was supposed to. Apparently, they were looking at the life support, and there was one more thing that was messed up.
The rings, the 3 rings that were around it.
Yeah,
they said that those were damaged also, and they described it as a magic school bus. The magic school bus.
Yeah.
No, it's the Winnebago. The shield generator. And then they had to go. Then they were talking about Brendan's cousin Lucky was over in Mord.
Yeah,
which is the name of the town.
Yeah, they get through customs by weaseling a senior discount for the docking of their ship. And then they end up, they try to find a mechanic, and it just so happens to be the cousin Lucky.
Yeah, another Deinhardt.
Yes.
And he tries to figure out how to get lots of money to have their fix shipped.
Yeah, something like 1,400 credits, which they had a whopping 110.
10, yeah.
Yeah.
And they had to talk their way into the spaceport. Yeah. Which I gotta admit, I really liked. I enjoyed that part too.
Yeah. And so they, Lucky was like, well, I mean, how do you like gambling? And that brings them, it's kind of a good transition to get to, I forget the tavern's name. But they go to a tavern where they can get drinks and they can gamble and hopefully make more money. They don't. But
yeah. Then it goes to Constant
in the bodega,
in the alley, in the bodega.
Yeah,
with Miss Mapo.
With Miss Mapo.
Yeah.
I loved her. She's so sweet.
She is.
Yes.
And that voice was so perfect.
And
it
she's
really
a
was.
cobalt. And I just I missed that detail when I first I listened to that scene a couple of times because I really enjoyed it.
Mm-hmm.
And I missed that she was a cobalt the first run. And I was like, she's a cobalt.
In a pink outfit with glasses and just
yeah.
I will say, I really like just like the choice of audio and background noises, and just in general, just the audio that they picked for just about everything in the whole first episode.
Yeah,
everything from the voice to the characters' voices, and even the just the background. It's all so fitting.
Yeah, it definitely sets the scene for sure. And so Constant talks to Miss Mapo, and through a series of awkward conversations with Constant, and a bunch of insight checks, she figures out that, hey, Constant needs to get out of Dodge, and the city's name that I can't remember, Mord, yeah. So she needs to get out of Mord because of what happened at the labs, and she doesn't really want to tell Miss Mapo.
Yeah, she's trying to get off planet. She wants away from
down.
Fool
Miss Mapo though.
No, you can't.
Always knows.
Exactly. And so Miss Maple gives Constant a whopping 500 credits and instructs her to go find Lucky and find a ship and get out.
Yeah.
Not before Constant gives some very sage advice. Maybe you should drink less.
That was
it
great.
Grabs one bottle, maybe like this much less.
Yeah.
Like this much less.
But it just takes the edge off.
Like, mind your business.
Right? And then we roll back to the tavern. So they roll into the tavern, and we are able to finally get at least Brendan and Flip and Lyrex together because they want to order drinks. And at first they, Flip orders water and is insistent on ordering water because he thinks he's paying. And Lucky's like, no, I've got it. We're paying. And he's like, oh, in that case, give me the house special. And Lyrax talks about an old fashioned with double cherries, and goes off and makes those drinks. And somewhere along the way, Constant rolls in and meets them because she's like looking specifically for Lucky.
Well, but she runs into her coworker first. So she goes in there.
You get to meet the bouncer. You get to meet his boss.
Oh, and
one
Mimi,
of the fellow servers. Yeah, Mimi. Yeah, you get to meet the half elf server.
Yeah,
and it's all great character choices, all great attitudes, and RP by Brandon, just doing the NPCs right and doing them justice. I really enjoyed it. The whole, and Lyrex is just fed up with everybody.
Yeah.
It's just
the size that you were getting from Lyrex.
He was just fed up with everybody.
Yeah.
And it goes to even to where when Flip orders water, he's like, great, these they're not going to tip either.
Nope. And through some of that, there was a exchange of money, and I think it was Flip that goes to gamble.
Yeah.
And doesn't win. Goes from 55 credits to 30.
Impressive.
Yeah. So now they have less money. But after meeting all these NPCs and constant pushing past her coworker and dodging some questions, she goes and talks to Brendan first and is like, Lucky? and Brendan's like, oh, hey, Lucky, she's looking for you. And So Brendan and Lucky talk to Constant, and by weird like conversation, they talk about getting their ship, and Brendan's like, "Oh yeah, the ship. How much money do you have?"
Yeah, and she's like, "That's a rude." Like they did not get along at all.
No, not right away.
I love that. He's like, "It'll be 1,400 credits." She's like, "Just to get off world?"
Yeah, like how much is one ticket?
And then he lets slip that the ship's broken. She's like, "The ship's broken."
Yeah. And Lucky's, luckily, Lucky is there to talk about that he can fix the ship. He just needs the credits.
Yep.
So,
and we did kind of brush over her and her coworker, which got to be a little intense for her.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was good to bring in a little bit of intensity, a little bit of maybe foreshadowing as to who could be a possible obstruction for her in the future.
Yeah.
And his name was William Rash. And so they kind of talked down the price a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember where they ended up at. It was like 400 or 300.
I think it was 400.
I think it was 400. And then they kind of go off.
Yeah.
To Lucky's. And that's pretty much the last we hear from them for this episode.
Yeah. And then Lyrax.
Yeah, then it's Lyrax.
Yeah.
And this is him. His boss sends him to go get some Stardust from the dealer,
right?
From the dispensary.
Yeah. And so for the listeners, Stardust is introduced in Mord by actually Brendan and Flip when they fly over to the city. They fly over the Stardust mine, and you can see security towers and guards, all kinds of stuff. And so you get this sense that Stardust is really important. And we find out that Stardust is kind of that magic powder, which sounds a little bit like an illicit drug and is sold as such a little bit in this episode.
Yep. But it's what makes magic go.
It makes a lot of things go, apparently.
Yeah.
So yeah, Lyrax is in an alley, gets some Stardust, and I think some information as well.
Very uncomfortable conversation about
his sister,
the state of Achilles, and his sister.
And his sister pretty much being dead.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of dead, just to go real quick back to Lucky and Brendan, the Deinhardts, the Deinhardts have like a system of figuring out who's still around. And Lucky was like, "Oh, haven't you heard?" And there's like, "This person's dead. This person's dead." It was like 5 or 6 people that just died in the last 2 months.
And I think that's going to be a little side quest.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was disturbing to Brendan. He was like, "Wait a minute, what?"
Yeah.
And he was trying to ask questions, and he was like, "Oh, it's not a big deal."
Yeah, no. So I think that sets the tone for the galaxy, really, the Haley galaxy, that it's not guaranteed that you can survive.
Yeah, that's a big thing. There's going to be a lot of death here.
Yeah.
Which sets the tone for the what's going to happen in the story, because I really feel like that might be something when I see with the characters. That's me, because everyone's like, they keep talking about death.
I think it was Brandon's way of waving a little flag and saying, "Hey, cast members, be ready in case."
Yeah.
Nobody is safe.
Which I personally really love, because I will kill everyone in my campaign.
Yeah, we're all a little trigger happy with our DMing.
Yeah.
So I feel I heard it all, and I'm like, ooh, I like this already.
Yeah.
I don't kill my players. I torture them. There's a difference.
That's true. Yeah, you just traumatize everybody.
To be fair, I usually end up murdering myself most of the time, so it's perfectly.
Yeah, you take the fun out of it.
It makes it easy on the rest of us.
It does. Hey, who's this demon? I want a deal. Dead. Okay.
I want a deal. I want 5 deals.
Now, I don't want to brush over the whole Lyrax with
no, for sure,
his sister dying, because that was a major. You could feel it.
Oh yeah,
because I don't think that was expected. I think it was a major story point, and I think it's gonna shape what Lyrax does next for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I do like, as a point of note, behind the scenes, we know that they don't know what's happening. The cast members are not allowed to read the lore that Brandon and the other writers have for the story. So even though their decisions, change a lot, there is some story already pre-written on how things kind of go, and they're not allowed to know. So their reactions are absolutely 100% real. So when Lyrax was told that his sister was dead, clearly he didn't know, or they didn't know.
Yeah. I like that genuine surprise.
Yeah.
Because he was like, wait a minute, what?
Yeah.
And yeah, so I do like the genuine surprise in their voices. And it was a point that Christian made to us when we talked to him, was that they don't know what's going on.
Yeah.
And neither do we. He wants genuine reactions out of them. So I
don't know what's going on half the time. It's fine.
Yeah.
You don't know what's going on when we tell you.
Yeah. But we don't know either. We are recording after once the episode is given to us, that's when we can record the episode. So for episode 2, we haven't listened to episode 2 yet. We're going to after we record this. And
super excited.
Hopefully, I've already talked to a little bit of the cast members. We might be able to get a cast member on for episode 2. And so we could
be nice.
Yeah, we could do a little bit of an interview. We don't know which one yet, so we're not going to say, but we're going to try and get one of them on. And then if you, the listeners, have a question for either the cast members or for us, or something that maybe we can help with, you can email us at thisdungeonisoccupiedpodcast@gmail.com. I haven't made a new email for Occupied With yet. So email us there, email your question, and whether or not you want to be anonymous and or a username that I can call upon to say thank you for emailing us. And we'll ask the cast member, whoever it is, on there.
Yeah. And we do actively always check our socials. So even not just email, if you can find us on our Twitter, Insta, Facebook, we are again active on all of them. Definitely just send us a message. Again, like Illadine said, if you do want to stay anonymous, you're more than welcome to send us a message, a question, and we'll definitely get to it.
Yeah. And then also have to plug the podcast. If you're listening to this first, why go listen to Stardust and Dragons first. But Stardust and Dragons and us, but Stardust and Dragons have a Patreon. It's $5, and you get a bunch of exclusive content. You get behind the scenes content, and a longer version of the episode, because the free version of this episode, or of the podcast, is very story centric. They take a lot of the roles out. But if you like that kind of thing, like I do, which today I just became a patron. So yeah, I had to. But you get to listen to the bonus content. You get to listen to a lot more of the kind of the D&D mechanics of things, and get all that extra goodie stuff. And there's already something like 10 posts on there. So get at it. Patreon.com/Stardust and Dragons. And if you'd like to throw something our way, we also have a Patreon at This Dungeon is Occupied Podcast. And you can also look at our link tree in the show notes at the bottom for all of our socials, our affiliate link with Arcana Vault. The links for Stardust and Dragons will also be there. And that's it. That's the show. If you guys want more of this content, or you want us to add something as a segment in this episode, again, email us or get us at the social medias. But that's it. I'm ending the episode. Remember to check your dungeons, because this dungeon is occupied with Stardust and Dragons.